This meeting is being recorded.
Hello, this is Crypto CJ. It's a trade of the day, Monday afternoon / evening Zoom edition. And it's been a great weekend and a great day in crypto. Bitcoin's up 5%, Ethereum's up 4%. Most commentators think that the Bitcoin ETF exuberance is kind of built into this pricing. Let's go to the chart and check it out. Okay, should be seeing my Bitcoin day chart.
Whoa, that's looking good.
Yeah,
Breaking
look at
above
that
your top boundary.
big, fat, chubby candle blasting through my top range. I've got the top of this at 31.5. We're at 31.6 now. 32 appears to be imminent. The 31K has been a support and resistance area in Bitcoin many times. I'm not going to go through the whole history. I drew the most recent, but you can see it over here back in April. It was resistance. And then if you go back to 2021, the last bull market we had, it was support a couple times. So I was thinking about that today during my prep time. It's like we have been in a bear market for 2 years. I mean, it's almost November, and that's when the 2021 market peaked. And then 2022 wasn't much fun. 23 has been a gradual sort of accumulation, but also a push up. Let's see my day chart. Let's go to a week chart. And yeah.
Oh, that's a lot of volume.
Right. So this is, I haven't looked at a week chart in a long time. So this is January, and we're up almost 100%. We have hit 31 a couple times before, like I pointed out. But anyway, so looking good. But what will happen if the SEC is more obstinate, or we have other legal issues coming out of left field? Could halt this in its tracks and push it back down. So we have to be vigilant, stay on top of that news, and look for support and resistance. That's how I'm looking at my swing trades and my hodls. But again, even on day trading, it's good. It's important to know what the market is doing overall. And so far today, we've been pushing up. A lot of green here on my list. So looking good. Ethereum. Yeah, multiple green candles last several days on the day chart. And I drew this kind of mini zone here at 1750. We've bounced off of it a couple times. I should probably move this down here, but I left it up here in the 1850 area. 2000 would be next after we break the 1750. So Ethereum's looking pretty good, but Bitcoin has had most of the attention because that's where the ETFs have been concentrated. And again, briefly, ETF is okay. We got some background noise. Can't have that. Okay, they muted. Good. But ETFs are essentially institutional options for investors to get in and have exposure to Bitcoin. Bitcoin ETF obviously has exposure to Bitcoin. There are Ethereum ETFs as well, but they're not as popular. They're all seeking SEC approval in the US. And the consensus is once that happens, that's going to open a lot of exposure to Bitcoin, should push the prices back up, considerably and the overall market tends to follow Bitcoin, so it should help out the altcoins as well. So any comments, questions, random speculations about the markets overall before we go to Altcoin Alert, so we can see if we can find some day trades? All right, let's go. Let's do some trading. I got to reshare. Okay, Altcoin Alert. I am on the altcoin radar screen, when you first log in, you'll often hit the dashboard. I don't care for this. This is not enough information. I want all the information. And I like sorting the different columns. I'm going to refresh to get the most current information. And then my first sort is usually the AA score. So I'm going to sort this. I'm looking for values 80 or higher. I'll fudge a little on a high 79 or 78. And we've got a couple of qualifiers already. IOTA, we looked at this one last week. Didn't really do much despite its high score. Rune, this is on my list today. I've put some alerts on this. It's up 15%. So that one's moving, maybe too much. Maybe it's played out. We'll check it out shortly. Nano doesn't have that much volume. Phantom is something I like to trade. So Phantom and Rune, have my attention. I've got the Rune chart up already. So I'm gonna go ahead and head over to that chart. We'll start with the 5-minute. And if you're on this Zoom call with me, you've probably been on my email list. Maybe you've received my training through iCoinPro, the 1, 2, 3 dip. It's just like it sounds. We look for 1, 2, and then the third dip, and then a pump back up. And those are really good, often really good entries for day trades on the 5-minute chart. And then I put some alerts on the 15-minute chart to help find those kind of trades, and some different kind of trades as well. So I know this kind of looks like a confusing mess if you've never seen it before, but I'll go ahead and break down what I'm looking for in each one of these entries. I've got obviously the candles. These green lines are Bollinger Bands. They help show kind of the range of the trading. So this is the top of the Bollinger Band. This is the bottom. I've got the middle line here is the SMA, or simple moving average, that the Bollinger Bands have. And then in addition, I've got the supply and demand visible range through LuxAlgo. You can get all these by wandering over here to Trading View and going to your indicators. Bollinger Bands. You find that one there. And the other one, supply and demand. Visible range by LuxAlgo. They have many paid indicators. This one's a free one. So I like using those to help me show what the range is of the time frame that I'm looking at. And then I use this RTI, relative trend index or indicator. And this shows me potentially good entries, and then this cumulative delta is something I use for confirmation. I'll go over some examples shortly. This is my current setup. I will change this when the market changes, or if I find something that works better. But this is a setup I've been using for the last, 6 to 8 weeks. Frank, an attendee of this call, suggested the RTI and the delta, and I'm open to suggestions. So
Yeah, and I'm loving those two as well.
Yep, good stuff. So at the moment on the 5-minute chart, we're at the top of the Bollinger Band, which is not my favorite entry. We're sitting right at resistance, this red band here. It's, Rune is bumped up to 209, dropped, bumped up again, dropped again. It's going for a 4th time to try to break through. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, but this isn't where I like to get in. I want to get in usually in a dip sequence. They don't have a good example of that. And so what I like to do is go to well, actually, before I do that, my favorite trade entries are pullbacks. So this indicator and the Bollinger Bands are telling me that the support area, which is usually the better entry point, is down here around 194. You can see this accumulation of candles here, the green on the indicator, and then the bottom of the Bollinger Band are all lined up here. So if you want to use an alert to get a better entry than what we have now, you can right click over here, add an alert. And then I usually use the information source for the name of my alert. So this is going to be an AA score. If you put something in TradingView enough times, it's going to remember it. So click that on. Notifications, I'm going to notify in my app, which is on my phone, show a pop-up on my computer screen, my desktop that I'm on right now, and play a sound and choose whatever sound you like. The beep beep and the alarm clock are pretty obnoxious, so I kind of like the reverb and the chirpy. Anyway, so that's how you do a price alert on the 5-minute chart. Now, I don't do those very often. I prefer indicator alerts on the 15-minute chart. I have found that if I could get an entry down here on the RTI, dipping below 20 and coming back up, that will often correspond to a nice dip entry on the 5-minute chart. So, and if I get a big pump above the 80 here on the RTI, then it dips below, that can often be a coin that's pumped that's starting to come back to earth. So I trade on leverage exchanges, usually at 10x leverage. I'm looking for a 1% move on the chart. So that's a 10% profit. And I love piling up 10% profits. You can grow your balance pretty quickly that way. If you're not an experienced trader, you're not trading on leverage yet, that's fine. So you're a spot trader, you're just looking for situations where the coins go up. You can wait for those dips, get in, and then ride that coin back up, pick up 2, 3, 4, 5%, or maybe even more if you're watching the charts. And if you do that a couple times a day, your balance can grow pretty quickly. It's harder than it sounds, but it's doable. Okay, so we're on the 15-minute chart, and since the whole market's been pumping today, we're not seeing many retraces. I'm not seeing anything coming below even the 50 value here on the RTI, let alone the 20. So I do two types of trading. I do trend trading, something, that's riding a trend that's starting to form. That's my trend trading. And then I do the pullbacks, the dips that we talked about earlier. I'll show you how to set up alerts to find those kind of trades. So on this RTI, this 50 is the middle value. Don't have a good example for this. All right, here we have one. So this is from Thursday. It actually dips below the 20. So there's a pretty good entry here on a retrace. And then it builds momentum and then it breaks above the 50, and that's my trend. So my retrace entry is here. My trend entry is here. They're pretty close together. That's just the example I have to show at the moment. So as you can see, when it breaks above the 20 value here, I don't really have, and then I use the cumulative delta for confirmation. I don't really have that. I'm looking for a strong green candle or a series of green candles. I don't really have those at this moment, so maybe I don't take this trade at the 20. But when it breaks above the 50, I've got several green candles, and I can wait even a little bit longer if I want for some more confirmation. But to be honest, I probably would have gotten in here, right when it broke above the 50. And as you can see, this had a really nice move up, 6% in 5 hours. That's a really good day trade. And if you want to hold it even longer, you take your chances to try to ride it up here, get double digits. But these are the kind of trades I'm looking for, the ones that go below the 20 and come back up and then have some momentum and break the 50. So how do you find those? Go back to get rid of this first. So I'm going to set alerts on my indicators on this RTI indicator. So I'm going to right click on the indicator, add an alert. And if you're trading spot, the alert you want is the first one listed, this RTI crossover 50. That's your trend alert. Once per bar close leaves it on all day until you turn it off. And again, that's an AA score purchase, and everything else is set up. I usually go for a three notes reverb. and click create. I already got this one set up, so I'm not going to do it again. Okay, so let's say now if you want to catch the 20, it works pretty similar, the same way. Add an alert. Instead of that, we're going to be crossing up on the 20 once per bar close. And then, AA score purchase. And maybe I make this a little bit bigger. This is the 20 value. I want to see it dip below this and then come back up like I showed you on Thursday's trade, but this is a closer look at it. Okay, add an alert. Well, we did that one already. Now let's say you've had some success as a spot trader and you want to maybe get on Bing X, or if you live outside the US, you could get on Binance or Bybit or one of those and trade on leverage, start small, maybe 2 or 3X, but you want to trade both directions. So you want to, when you think it's going to go long, you want to take 2, 3, 5X leverage going long. And if you think it's going to drop, then you want to trade a short. So that's what I do. And that's what some of the other traders on this call do as well. So to do an alert for both directions, it's going to be a little different. Add an alert on the RTI. Instead of crossing over the 50, we're going to cross. We'll put the 50 that way. So that way it'll trigger if it crosses up or down. AA score purchase, and the rest is the same. And if you want to get those values that drop below 20 and come back up, and those that pump above the 80 and drop back down, do it like this. We're going to enter a channel. So we're going to define our channel with 80 on the top, 20 on the bottom. And I usually call that a 1, 2, 3 dip pump. I'm trying to catch the dips and the pumps. But if the market's pumping continually, you may not want to do any shorts. You may want to wait till that settles down. So that's up to you as a trader, because like this one here dipped just below the 80. So you might think it's coming back down, but then that's a fake out. It pumps back up. But we had that little dip here, but our cumulative delta is not having it. It's just alternating right, red, green, red, green. So that would probably keep me out of that trade. I'd want to see, well, this is an example. I'd want to see something like this, but with my value below the 80. It's not a great example, but best I can do with what I got. Okay, well, I spent some time on that. Any questions about these indicators, how I'm using them, the alerts, my choice of rune from the AA score? Any questions on that? And a quick review. I mean, I like these AA scores because this is telling me that rune has an 81.4% chance to go up 3% or more in the next 48 to 72 hours. So those are pretty good odds. I mean, nothing's perfect, but that's why I like those AA scores. Okay, let's look at another one. Look at Phantom, 79.9. Got my list. You can create lists on TradingView of coins you like to trade. I started originally with a Binance list back in 2019 and not on Binance anymore, but I'm still using their charts. Doesn't really matter. Though some traders are purists and they say you should use the chart for the exchange you're trading on. That's probably reasonable, but 7% move for FTM today. Looks pretty similar to what we were seeing on Rune. On the 5-minute chart for most of the day, it's just been ranging. And probably that 7%. No, 3% actually in the 5-minute chart. but we're sitting in the middle right here on this SMA line. So sort of in the middle of nowhere, not where I want to get in, but I do like this entry on this green line. So if you don't want to, if the indicators I showed you are over your head, you don't want to deal with that yet. I traded for probably, I don't know, 6 to 9 months before I used indicators that much. So there's nothing wrong with looking at support and resistance and using price alerts. So, you know, put your alert here around 2200, make it a round number, AA score. And when that goes off, you reevaluate. If it's falling like a rock, you might want to wait till that's over, till it starts to come back up again, and then get in then on a dip trade. Okay, I'm gonna go a little faster now because I got to cover probably one more trade or one more altcoin alert, and then we're gonna head over to iCoinPro. So on the 15-minute on FTM, okay, we do have a dip below the 50 here on Sunday morning that did really well. So that would be a good entry. You can see I've already got these set up from this morning. And the 20 hasn't gotten anywhere close to 20 today. We've had a few pumps above the 80, a little dip here, and kind of sideways from there. It wouldn't surprise me if this eventually came back down. I did take a short on
Hello?
Customers may not be able to
on a
contact
different
you
one,
if your
but
listing is not verified. Press 1 now.
Thank you. So I'm not sure if I'd want to short any more. I want to see how this market plays out before taking any more short trades. So I'd probably focus on the 50 values to better confirm the trends. So if you're trading on spot, you want it to dip below the 50 and then come back up, go ahead with this first option. If you want to trade both, go with the crossing option. And if you want to trade the 80-20, you're going to enter a channel 80-20. Okay, I went through that one pretty quickly. Any questions on FTM? Okay, so let's look at Altcoin Alert one last time. We'll look through for a different sort. I also like to trade on social activity. Sometimes this 1 hour projected range and long-term sentiment are some of my other favorite sorts. Take a quick look at 1 hour. Yeah. It's MIM. I'm not familiar with that one. I traded this one a couple years ago, WRX, but the values are really low. The only one that sticks out to me is this 4% on MIM, and I don't know what that is. So I'm gonna not do that one. So long-term sentiment, this is what people are talking about on Twitter, online. I like to match that up with the Elder Impulse, which is a technical indicator. You can hover over these question marks to see what they do. So when the sentiment matches the technicals, I like to take a closer look at those. Well, it's nice to see DOT over $4. That's intriguing. Balancer, well, they don't match. So we looked at FTM, INJ looks pretty good, up 13%. Some of these are older projects, Harmony, Aave. Let's look at DOT. I'm curious about this. This one was not on my radar this morning. Okay, on the 5. Just cruising on up on the top of the Bollinger Band. I think we're too late for this one. There's some support here. If you want to catch a pullback around 409. And the green zone is down here at 398. So those could be places for price alerts. On the 15-minute chart, on their RTI indicator, we had a dip down here and a pump on Sunday morning and did really well. It broke through the 50 here. So either entry would have been good. We did have a dip down here below the 80, supported by the cumulative delta. Let me put a vertical line here. So the drop is here below the 80 on the RTI and multiple red candles on the cumulative delta. So I would have liked that trade. And since I'm only looking for 1%, that would have been a good trade for me. But if you're looking for a bigger move, say down to the green zone, 3%, which is reasonable, you'd still be in that trade because it bounced back up and it's been up 6% since then. So, figure out what kind of trader you want to be and function accordingly. So that dip below 80 worked pretty well. So I think the second one probably did not. Yeah, that did break up above the 80 and then come back down. So that was, yeah. Though at the time that happened, the delta is not confirming it. So you probably would not have taken that trade. I know I would not have. So that would have saved me from that one. And then I don't have any other instances of it breaking below 80 or the 50. So DOT is still pumping. Again, as a pullback trader, I'm going to wait for it to drop at least below the 80 before I consider getting in on a short. I probably wanted to break below the 20 to get in on a long, but some people may be less conservative than that. Okay, any questions on DOT? I'm running a little late. Let's head over to iCoinPro, the home of the 1, 2, 3 dip. And iCoinPro is a very conservative way to get into day trading. It's the first system I learned back 4 years ago, so I like it. They would not be happy with me if they knew I was trading leverage, but people move on. But I still like the basic tenets of the system, the 1, 2, 3 dip, and a couple of the indicators they have, the RSI SPY and the Buddy Coin Crawler. We'll look at those and see if we can find some more trades. They have upgraded to this trading portal, but I'm waiting for phase 2 of it, so it has audible alerts. I rely on those heavily in my trading. Right now they just have lists. So what I like to do is look at the RSI SPY and look for the 1 hour RSI. The RSI is similar to the RTI we were looking at earlier. And if something is below the 20 on the RSI on the 1 hour, then it's usually due for a comeback. But since everything's pumping today, and since Bitcoin's been pumping today, it's only showing me Bitcoin pairs, which I don't like to trade. So this morning I flipped the switch and I looked for those that had pumped above the 70 value on the RSI and that were due to come back down, and I set those up for shorts. And Bitcoin, it's rare to see Bitcoin in here. Filecoin, Rocket Pool, Rune, just about, well, a lot of coins are in here because they've been pumping today. We're seeing XRP, BNB. We looked at DOT already. So let's look at Filecoin. That's something I trade from time to time. It's on my list. And even though the RSI SPY is telling me that it's pumped up here, and obviously it has, I will still look at it as a potential dip trade and set my alert accordingly. And this one's really pumped hard. It's starting to dip a little bit, hit that, the top of the range here at 392. It's dropped a few cents since then. And on a short, I'd look for this to dip below 80, somewhere between 80 and 50 on the RTI. Actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. We're on the 5-minute chart still. Forget that. Let's look at this as a spot trade. And this would be one area, this green zone at 346, setting a price alert. And if you want to be a little more aggressive, there's a little bit of support here at 377. You see where these candles are accumulating. So that would be another place for a price alert. Set that one there and then reevaluate. All right, now on the 15-minute chart with indicators, the ones I'm using, RTI, going back in the past, those that broke above the 50 did really well. There's a good entry here, good entry here. I don't know if that one didn't quite break through. So on this one, I would just treat it like the others I was looking at and see if they hit the zones where I like to trade. You know, right click on the RTI, add an alert. I'm gonna use the crossing 50 because that'll catch me in both directions. And this is the RSI SPY, so that one I've used many times, and the rest is the same. On the 80-20 approach, where I'm looking for dips and pumps and retraces, add an alert. We're going to enter a channel 80, 20, bar close, and RSI SPY or 1, 2, 3 dip pump or whatever you want to call it. So that's how I do that one. Okay, any questions on Filecoin? So the other tool I like is a Buddy coin crawler. And I'm sorting by the average low to SMA. The low is a 24-hour low. The SMA line is that red line I showed you between the Bollinger Bands on my charts. And I'm looking for values, usually depending on the market, say 4% and above. And most of the ones I have here are not coins I trade. They're, you know, newer projects on Binance. However, we do have Chainlink here at 3.8. I think that's going to be close enough. There's a drop-down menu here. If I click on trading view, it should take me to the 5-minute chart on my last layout. So yeah, so this is my basic chart layout. So I'm not going to use that. We'll go over here. Basic chart's what I use to show Bitcoin and Ethereum, the beginning of my calls. Okay, so we're on Chainlink. And it's over $10. That's a big move. So it's hovering around $6 or $7 for a long time. So good stuff on here. I think, yeah, I just go with the green zone here at 995, 994 for a price alert on the 5-minute chart. On the 15, with the RTI, it's kind of bouncing around the 50. This is kind of annoying if you have an alert set on the 50. But, you know, nothing you can do. It's just going sideways here. This one, this cross here that happened at 7 a.m. does have a few green candles on the cumulative delta. I probably would have taken that one. Gotten in, probably right about here. And that makes a nice move, almost 4%. So that would have been a good entry. Some of these are just dipping in like a 2 to 3% zone, which for me is perfect because I just want that 1% move on a chart. So again, quick review. If you want to do our alerts on the RTI, if you want to catch something that goes above the 50 for your trend alert. For spot trading, you go ahead and stay with that first one, that crossover 50. If you're trading both directions, you want to get this one here, crossing once per bar close, and this would be Buddy Coin Crawler. Yeah, so that's how you do that one. If you want to do the 80-20, catch those retraces, dips and pumps, we're gonna enter a channel 80